Hi, everyone. In today's video, we're going to cover two platforms, Thinkific and Gavel, and how you can use these in combination with each other really effectively within your harmonized business model to scale your expertise and better service your clients and also educate them along the way. So it allows you to take your workflows and put them directly into different courses that you create, which are essentially workflows that you create, such as packages of, let's say, for estate planning or for copyright registration or for trademark matters or whatever else. It allows you to have this really lovely combination of education as well as practical workflows that actually produce something at the end, such as a workflow from Gavel. So let's go into this by starting with what Thinkific is. So Thinkific is a way of creating courses, but also allowing you to use this in a really harmonized way with things like affiliates, as well as rev share partners, and it allows you to, with its integrations and apps here, you can integrate this with things like MailChimp and Zoom and all these other options that you have here as well. So it really allows you to create some pretty powerful websites that allow you to do a lot of different things, including creating courses, having communities as well. So I have a couple of communities for my students here, Chromium Global, which everyone who has purchased a course or participates in a course with me from Chromium Academy gets put into this community automatically. Then we have the Gavel certification courses that are specifically for people who are in those courses. And then the law students in legal tech is specifically for all the law students focusing on the fellowship program and an intro to Gavel course that is specifically for people on the A2J subdomain. You can see that you can also create things like memberships, bundles, and so many more things. So I don't have a membership um, kind of setup in mine in particular, but you can, and it allows you to make it to where people may pay some kind of monthly fee, and then they get a particular type of package where they can access your all of your courses for a certain fee. Bundles, you can make it to where you have a couple of different separate courses that are bundled together into one. And so that can be pretty powerful as well. So these are some different kinds of things that you can do. As I mentioned, you can also design your website. So you can have, this is what mine looks like, where I have sort of just an initial banner, and then I have all the different categories that you can click into, like software and Airtable, and you can go through and see the different communities. You can see all the stuff on Gavel, formerly Documate, on the certification courses. Anyway, you can see all of the different ones and you can kind of toggle between them. You can click into something and then this is what they would see. And they have these kind of templated out for you, and then you can just sort of customize them from there. And they're interactive from the end user side into clicking into seeing what the actual lessons are for each one. And then you can make it to where people can kind of enroll for each course. So that's kind of what it looks like from the sort of user side as they kind of go through this workflow, or it's not this workflow, but this sort of user journey from your website into purchasing a course from you. And actually, what I like to do is think of them really more as sort of packages. So, a package that includes, a couple of things. Something could include, let's say, a quote unquote course could include lots of different things that aren't just courses, but have to do with your Gavel workflows, for example. So I'll show you what that looks like from just CodeWord Hex by itself. So if we go into courses here in the back, this is where you can create new courses. You can have different instructors that are associated with different courses. But here's kind of where a lot of the main things happen within Thinkific. And so you can see that I have a lot of different courses. Many of these are published, some which are going to be some that I'm just kind of like working on and playing with in the background, and some that are just like a testing environment. So these are what mine look like. And if I wanted to create a new one, I would just say create new course, and then it would kind of give me a new opportunity like this to start from scratch. So I'm going to go actually into code word hex to show you what this one looks like, because this one is all pretty much all of these are workflows from Gavel. So what I have is this is where you can do everything associated with each particular course, which is create the curriculum. You can import things. You can change the settings here where you can choose which instructor is associated with this. You can change your URL. So this is what comes after courses here. So code word hex, give it a name, make it private or hidden. You can give it a course image and a description. You can change the course player appearance, which I'll show you in a moment. So let's just show you really quickly now. So this is what it's talking about, is that you can change the color of this banner here. You can change the colors of the border around the circles and the buttons and things like that. So you can really make it your own. Give it a light theme or a dark theme. You can change the font. You can give it a logo here. So that's referring to this section here. You can check out what you can do around course progress and completion. So you can say whether or not this is associated with a certificate, and then whether the person who finishes can share on social media. It will just give them a little prompt at the end of a chapter or at the end of the course, giving them the opportunity to share the link to the course to people in their community, in their network. Page code, you can change different things with JavaScript, and you can also make it to where this is associated with different admins, rev partners, affiliates, and so on, which is really helpful. So if you're working on this course with other people, or you have a partner that you share revenue with for whatever reason, you can add them here as well. You can also remove or add affiliates, which is pretty nice. You can also update some SEO stuff here as well. So I actually need to just move this up here, to be honest. So I will fix this. Let me see. Okay, so I've updated this a little bit. So basically, you can have an SEO title, which is different from the title of the course. You can have an SEO description here, and then you can add some course keywords to improve your site's visibility in searches. So you just separate them by commas here, and that will help with all of your SEO. You can also create a drip schedule, so you can make it to where the course curriculum is released on in a certain schedule. So it could be on a specific date. So if you don't want if you want to start, let's say, a cohort on a certain day, but you don't want the material released before then, you can choose this. Student course start date. So when the student accesses the course for the first time, for example, or you can make it to where they from this, so this is content released from the student enrollment date, and then each one is released a certain number of days after enrollment, for example. So you can do that for each particular lesson within your course. If you look at pricing, you can also look at how you can change the pricing. So you can make it free, you can give it a one-time payment. This is from that subscription and membership option that I showed you. Monthly payment plan. So if you want people to be able to split this up over the course of 2 months or 3 months or whatever else, you can do that here, and then have additional pricing down here. You can also have workflows that happen after somebody purchases something. So you can add upsells, create custom messaging on your thank you page, or redirect a customer after the purchase is completed. So it depends on what you'd like to do. You can also have different publish settings. So, for example, you can make the status draft so nobody can see it yet and they can't purchase or enroll in it. And then if you wanted to have it set to pre-order, people could order it, but they can't access the content until you publish it. And then you can have it published where it can actually, they can actually purchase, enroll in, and access all of the content on the drip schedule that you've created, or just all at once if you don't have a drip schedule. If you want to modify the curriculum, which is what's actually shown here in the course player, then you do that here under curriculum. You can create new chapters by just saying add chapter, and then you can give it a name. And then you can, within that chapter, let's say, just for sake of argument, you can add a new lesson. And this is how you'll be able to create new lessons, which are those that appear underneath these different chapters. So let's say that you are going to create one that was just some text. These are draft, so nobody can see this on the other side anyway. So I'm just going to put test. And then you can make this a free preview lesson, which makes it to where they are able to enroll for free and access all of the preview lessons, anything that you've set to preview. You can make this a prerequisite, so they have to finish this lesson before they can access the next chapter. So that's important as well. You can enable discussions on this or all lessons so that students can make comments and have a discussion about this particular one. Remove margins in the course player. So that's an option for you as well. If you wanted to display multimedia content, but it's not really good as apparently for reading material. So just keep that in mind as well. So these are some different options for you, and this is what this could look like on the other side. So let's see, this is going to be preview all courses and lessons. So if you have something in a draft, you can see it here, but the enrolled student wouldn't be able to see it if it's a draft. So now you can see that I've just added this extra chapter, and this is what some text looks like. This is the title, and then this is the body. A student could go full screen or not, and then they can complete and continue and move forward as needed. So this is kind of just how you can quickly create something like this. And I wanted to show you how you can link this with your Gavel accounts, and it looks really, really good in here. So I'm going to delete this chapter just because we have some examples already here. So if we go to the actual code word hex that is the one that is live for my digital magazine, this is saying that this got deleted, so it's not showing. But if we look at the one that I have, code word hex itself is a Gavel workflow. So it's created here in Gavel, and if we look at the back end, for example, I've built it in a way that only uses a couple of variables, and it looks like this. So I have like a template page that I duplicate each week, and then I put in the video that I'm working on, and then any links, and then I have like a little footer, and then that's it. And so these are all of the other issues, and I've made it to where, this is built out in a way that there is a kickout page if you don't put in the code correctly. Otherwise, if you do put it correctly, then you get to see this page with all of the different issue options. And then each issue has some logic to show if it's chosen for that particular issue. So that's what it looks like on the back end. When you run it from Gavel, or you give somebody this link to CodeWord Hex, it looks like this. But I wanted to make it to where it was within a course or a package or whatever you want to call it from Thinkific, because it allows me to have them sort of work through it within this course player experience that I like. And so they can, but it makes them to where they can actually access this. Let's say they can go through the different issues, and then they can sort of see the up for this, or the issue for this, but they could also see what I'm referring to. So for example, in this one, I reverse engineered Duolingo using Gavel, and there is a build or a workflow associated with this particular issue that I want them to be able to see. So I have all of the builds here in the second chapter. So for the build relating to the language learning French edition, they can actually look at that and play with that and interact with that here, which is a workflow from Gavel. Same thing with Escape Room Macassey, which is also made in Gavel. Then also this daily journal, which somebody needs to sign into to access. They can sign in directly from here within Thinkific and access the journal. They can access the case brief and class notes. What's really nice about this, doing it this way, where you have all of your Gavel workflows sort of in this course player experience, is you can also add other things like you could have different videos. You can add videos to here as well, but just for many other reasons, you can also sort of like have people download PDFs or docs, and you can still have just makes it where it's like lots of multimedia available, and then also having that be where they can get certificates at the end for completing this or whatever else. So I just think it integrates really, really well and is a really cool user journey experience, and allows you as the creator of these different content pieces that you have the ability to, within your Thinkific dashboard, you can create multiple sort of packages. You can have everyone who signs up be part of a community. You can create these different membership payment options and create bundles and just so many different things. Also, the ability to use these market and sell like coupons, order bumps, and all these different things is really helpful. And you have 3 different payment types you can, or payment processors you can use, which are Thinkific Payments, Stripe, and PayPal. And then you have different options for how to support your students and how to group them together, view their progress, issue certificates. And then you can also have those reviews, like what you can put on your website, such as the ones you see here. And then you can also assign different assignments to your students, quizzes and surveys. You can see the results of those as well. Change your settings and more. There's lots of different apps you can integrate with, such as Zoom and MailChimp. You can do live sessions. So, for example, I have with the Wednesday build that I do every Wednesday, I have that from this Thinkific platform as well. The reason for that is that you can create live events. So, for example, if we look at the upcoming ones here on the back end, it looks like this. So, when you create a live event, it looks like this. And you can set up whether people can join before you, whether you want a waiting room or whatever else. And what this looks like to the enrolled student is that you can have all of your upcoming sessions, kind of all of the Zoom links kind of laid out like this for somebody. So the student, just when that date comes in here, and they can just go ahead and join the meeting directly from here. You don't have to email them with any links or anything like that. So let's say that you wanted to have this be like a really well integrated sort of process and flow and journey for a client. Let's say that they purchase a package of yours that includes a live meeting with you, or like a group coaching session for something, some type of, webinar that is part of this journey. There's different elements. Maybe you have something where, well, as soon as they enroll, they have access to all of these different pieces, where maybe in this one there's some educational material where the person can work through this and complete and continue through sort of reading through some of this. They can kind of click through and preview what's coming up, but then they can also join your live session straight from within here. And then let's say that there was also a let's say there was also a workflow in here as well for them to run all the way through, then they could do that from here as well. So it just keeps everything kind of together in a really nice way, and you're able to do a lot of different multimedia options here too, which is really nice. So let's do one in testing environment, as if we were going to just start this one from like a new course, for example. So in this case, let's go to my testing environment, and that way it doesn't affect any live pages. So we have here this testing environment. Let's see what's on here right now so I can kind of play with it. So I was testing out how to have people submit an assignment using I wanted to play with this Google Drive option, because you're able to have someone submit an assignment from their device, from Google Drive, from a link, OneDrive, or Dropbox. And then you're able to see that on the other side, on Thinkific's side, to grade the assignment. So let's play with this. So let's take off, let's discard this one because we're not going to use this one. Let's say that we had it to where we wanted to, let's say welcome, have like a welcome section, chapter where maybe it's like meet your instructor and it's a video of you. So videos you can usually need to either select from your library where you can have all of your different videos here, and it looks really, really good. Let me just use one of these. Let me see. I'm going to use like welcome and first steps, for example. So like say like welcome or like meet your instructor or like start here or something like that. Whatever you want to say, and then you can pull in your video and then you can add any text you want here and then any downloads you want them to be able to access. You can say what type of lesson this is. You can change it. And then you can add your different lesson settings that you want. So let's say we have this sort of welcome start here, and you want them to, this is what it would look like on the other side with this video now. Give it a second to load. So it would go ahead and look like this, and it would make it to where it would automatically start. So that is how that would look, and then the person can kind of make this full screen if they want to, like this. They can speed it up or change the quality. They can adjust the volume, and then come back down, and then you'll be able to see how much of the video they've watched. And then you can also set different rules around whether they're able to progress, or how much of the video percentage wise they need to watch before they're allowed to complete the course. So that is an option there. And so let's say you have your welcome chapter and then you have sort of some start here introduction of some kind that's a video. Then you can have your client or your students move through something else. So let's say in this next piece you want them to complete a workflow that you've created in Gavel. And so let's talk a little bit about Gavel because maybe not everyone is familiar with this tool just yet. So Gavel is a way of creating this one. Don't judge by this one because this has a lot of embeds. So it looks like there's a lot of code, but it's actually a no code platform that you can create legal. It's branded as a like a legal app creator or workflow creator or document automation software, but you can do a lot of other things with it. And I generally do a lot of different things with this that aren't only legal. So I like to create things like escape rooms and language learning tools and journals and things like that. So I like to try different things and just sort of stretch the tool and see what it's capable of. But to show you kind of an example of different types of question blocks you can create, and I was just playing kind of with this idea of doing a gradient in the background, so you don't necessarily have to have it look like this. Um, but what it makes it to you where you can do is you can have it to where people can input different information, and you can have logic attached to different questions, logic attached to different pages. You can make it to where people have their own client portals that they can kind of double check and keep track of what the which workflows they've taken. So they'll see that in their own client dashboard. You have a data manager that allows you to see what sessions people have, what people have chosen, and what their answers were when they accessed it, and you can download the documents that were output you can continue using this link or open their session. And so you can see all of these different things. You can also search, do like a global search if you were looking for something like tests. I don't know if there's going to be, so you have all these different tests. And you can have different, you can use CSV files as a data source for your different questions. You can add different images to your workflow. You can also add several documents to the backside of each of these so that when you can automate basically your any of your templates and your contracts or your any type of Word or PDF document. You can automate those and attach them to these workflows that you can create. You can also manage your users, so you can have different people create accounts on your subdomain. So my subdomain is cormeum and then it's .gavel.io. But you can also have this your own custom domain as well. You can create API keys that allow you to connect to other third-party applications or platforms, update your billing, change your logos and your favicon here in system settings. You can also have native integrations with Clio and Stripe, which are pretty handy. So you can make it to where there's a paywall in front of each of these if you wanted to, and so on. So yeah, so that's the kind of the main thing. You can assign workflows to people, duplicate, copy the link, delete, or send a copy to a builder on your account. So you have up to 3 for certain accounts. And then that allows you to kind of send this to somebody. They can work on it and send it back to you when they're done. And you can also assign this workflow either to internal people to have them work on something or to your clients directly. So, how you would create a new one. So, let's do, you just quickly create a new one like this, and then we'll say workflow one, code word hex example, create. That takes you over here to this editor side where you can quickly add new question types or you can add new pages, duplicate a page, delete one. You can navigate from your pages here or from the toolbar, which can expand or contract. And then you can also search by questions and variables or by question type if you were looking for something. And then you can add your output documents here. You can create conditional document output. So if you have, let's say you have a couple of different ones and you want one to only show if some particular case is true or false, then you can do that here. Or if if a certain input is a certain value, you can have something sent to an email address at the end. So let's say you want all the documents sent to you when a client is done with them or whatever else, you can do that here. And then you can choose to have the documents displayed at the end to the interview taker or not. So you can also update your settings. So you can change the style with custom CSS. So that's the kind of background colors and the font styles and buttons and things like that. You can change the colors and all that. You can have it to where the user can include, you can include a link for the person to continue it later if it's quite long, for example. You can skip the ground view page, change the language, customize all of the different messages for the actual end of the workflow itself under different conditions. Also, the email that is sent when they're done, the session to continue later. You can all customize all of those. You can also add different webhooks, which is pretty nice, and connect to Zapier. And then you can change access permission. So you can make it to where the link is that anyone with the link can access this workflow, or only logged in users with specific domains or with specific email addresses. You can make it to where the person can only complete the workflow once. So you can have a lot of customization for these, and it's really easy to build using this tool. So let's say we're just going to make one really basic one so I can show you how to connect this now to Thinkific if you wanted this to be part of some type of package or something like that. So if you want to change the page number or like give a title to the page, you can do that here. And then you can choose what you want them to do. So as you saw, you could add a payment while here, but as in this case, we're doing it within sort of a workflow that's already been paid for, you could say here, then you would do it like this. And so let's say in ours where you want there to just be, I'm not sure. Let's see. Let's just make it to where somebody puts in some information. So let's just say, like, what is your name? And you can say like contact first name, and there's a whole, this is variables, and variables are really powerful and allow you to sort of interact with the input from this question in your logic and in lots of different places. You can have this the data that's input here shown in different environments as well. So if we go ahead and run this now, we already have a live link that we can share with someone else. So let's say we open up a new window and we drop in this link, then we have a live page that someone can interact with, sign into their account, they can run through this workflow, and so on. So that's just a very, very basic version. But what you could do with this is take your link for your workflow and put it into your package here, which is in Thinkific. So let's say you take your link and you want to add a lesson that has this one attached, like I showed you in Code Word Hex. You would just use this multimedia one and then you'd give it a title. So I'm going to say workflow one, and then you just drop in your link here and then you say save. So now when we look at this as an enrolled student, you can see the video for that we kind of set up earlier. When they complete and continue this one, they get a little check mark and they move on straight into the next workflow or the next lesson, which here in this case is workflow one, which is the one that we just made here and linked here. And now it looks pretty good. So they would be able to interact with this directly within this particular environment. And I think it looks really nice. And like I said, they can kind of they can be logged into their accounts, they can go to their dashboards, they can go through, because this, imagine that this is the person who just took this. So from their perspective, they're within their own client portal, but then they'd be able to complete and continue throughout the rest of this course. This is what that looked like from the side that we were talking about, like sharing your achievement or rating the course, or you can go to your student dashboard. But they can interact with this in a really cool way. Let's say they go to their dashboard. This is referring to their student dashboard, where they can see their own client portal here, where they have all of the different courses that they're in and all the different communities that they're in here, and then they can adjust their accounts as they'd like to. But and you can also change the theme. So I think it's the Empire theme in mine, from like a color scheme and a font style standpoint. But there's a lot of customization you can do in Thinkific as well. So that's just a kind of a very quick example of how you can combine Thinkific and the courses and packages that you can create there with Gavel workflows that you create like this, and make it to where they're part of this sort of, like I said, like a package where you have some educational material, you have some downloads for them, you have some workflows that you have for them. You can create drip schedules. You can kind of do all sorts of different things with your combination of these two really powerful platforms. So if you want to try this out, I do have a link that you can use, but it's really, really fun to kind of play with this. And this is how I kind of do it myself. Is with, especially with Code Word Hex. Even within the Law Students and Legal Tech Access to Justice Fellowship, I have created for them a way that they can submit their assignments in the way that I want them to, and I use a workflow for this that I created in Gavel. So I think it's, let me just double check. Let's find an assignment submission we can look at. Let's see. Some of them I use quizzes, but this one here, yeah. So when they look at this one, and they look through their course material, then the way that they're able to submit their assignments to me is using this workflow that I created in Gavel, where they choose a different week. They're given their assignment. They can copy and paste their link to whatever they're working on. Let's say their personal websites, builder profiles, their name, their last name, and their email address. And then I get an email saying that they've completed this, and then whatever is attached to this as well, as relevant, is also sent to me by email. So this is how I actually use this. Is I have workflows kind of within my broader courses, and then I have this kind of all linked together within Thinkific that allows me to have affiliates, rev share partners, to design sites, to do lots of different things, sort of, and really, really make the most out of the workflows that I've created, and to kind of utilize them in a unique way that allows me um, to really kind of take this to the next level for scaling my expertise, for better servicing my students and clients, and to make it to where it's really fun as well and quite beautiful. And I just think it's a really cool combination to have these two, where this is my sort of courses, but each course can include, um, let's go back into here, for example, before we kind of close, where somebody can register for this magazine, for example, and then it um, goes straight into their sort of student dashboard where all of their courses and communities are. When they click into the course, they can see the different issues of the magazine, click into them, and they can automatically see and interact with them here. So that's just the way that I like to do it. I wanted to share this with you, to show you how I kind of put in my Gavel workflows into Thinkific, and why, and how people can interact with it, and what it looks like when they do, depending on what your specific goals are in your harmonized business plan. So I hope this was useful, and I'll see you in the next video.